Okay, welcome to another Art Student Diary with me, Peter Jackson Anton. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about whether or not you're good enough to be a professional artist and how to know if it's something you should pursue or not. So, for who I am, I'm a student right now and I'm working towards being a professional artist, which to me means making a living through my art primarily. Whether it's through a combination of art and teaching, that would be my goal. So take what I say with a grain of salt, as I am not yet a professional, but I've listened to a lot of professional artists talk about what it takes, and so I'm coming to this with a lot of absorbed information. So I would say at least 5, 10, you know, 10 people have said the stuff that I'm going to say. So, I mean, for whatever that's worth, I've heard this thought echoed by many professionals. So, what I would say is the question isn't, are you good enough right now? The question is, are you willing to do what it takes to become a professional artist? Are you willing to put in the time and the effort and just grind the repetitions to get those fundamentals that make you able to do the work that people will pay money for? That's really what it comes down to, is do you have the skills? It's not about you. It's not, are you good enough to be a professional artist? It's, do you have the skills? And the difference there is that skills are something that can be trained. It's not really about the amount of talent you have, although certainly having some innate ability will help you improve faster, although there are some downsides that come with talent. The first problem with talent would be that it can make you complacent and lazy and make you not work as hard because because it comes easily to you. So you might not feel the need to push yourself and grow, and you might not develop the kind of discipline and rigor that is required of someone who's less talented than you, to whom drawing does not come as naturally. The other downside of talent is that when you get to that, you have less of a sense of accomplishment when you do it. The person who's had to grind and sweat for every bit of progress they've made in art, who has to go really slowly and takes a long time for them to learn stuff, to get that train moving at the start of their journey, they're going to appreciate it a lot more than for someone who just has never had really much trouble drawing. It's just comes naturally to them. So there are some advantages and disadvantages to being talented. So that's if you believe in talent. I think talent is very rare. I would say it mostly comes down to how well you can visualize and what you've been exposed to as a child, your influences as a kid. So if you've been exposed to visual, like you've watched cartoons as a kid, you played video games, you're very visually based, you've built up a lot of you've been thinking about things visually, and your imagination has been stimulated. And when you were a kid, you liked to play with your imagination. So you've been working on that creative part of your brain. So I would say, should you be a professional? It's less a matter of if you're talented and more a matter of if you're willing to work hard. You can ask yourself the question, if it took twice as long as I think it's going to take, would I still want to do it? So if you think it's going to take 5 years, it's going to take 10 years. If you think it's going to take 10 years, it'll take 20 years. So would you still be willing to do it? If I said, okay, you think it's going to take 10 years, it's actually going to take 20 years, and it's going to be harder than you think. But after those 20 years, you'll be a professional artist, and you'll be making a living with your art, and you'll be really good at art. Would you still do it? Would that be worth it to you? If not, I would say don't be a professional. You don't want it badly enough. That's really the question, is how badly do you want it? Do you want it enough to grind and draw when you don't want to draw? Draw things you are not interested in drawing? To feel like quitting over and over and over, and just you don't quit, you keep going? To get bad critiques? To get someone who says, I really don't think you should be a professional artist. I'm looking at your work and I just don't see it. Can you hear that and then be like, you know what, I'm going to be a professional anyway? It's like, at least I'm going to try. At least I'm going to try. And if I fail, I'll die trying, you know? that's the attitude you got to have, is to have people say, you can't do it. You're not good enough. I'm looking at your art and it's just not there, right? Even people who don't do art, they might look at your art and they might laugh at it. They might see you drawing at the zoo and they don't say anything, but you can tell they're looking at your drawings that they ask you to show them, and they're like, they give you an uncomfortable look because they're just like, they don't think your drawings are very good, and they don't want to look at it, and that's okay. Right? So take those experiences of people looking at your art and looking at you with pity when you tell them you want to be a professional artist. You take that and you throw it on the fire for fuel. That's fuel. These are experiences. Those are just tests for how badly do you want this. When people doubt you, when people laugh at you, and people will laugh at you if you start saying, I want to be a professional artist, and your skills aren't where you want them to be yet. Because most people don't have this growth mindset. Most people don't have this conception of, you could start out really badly, especially in the field of drawing and arts. People believe in talent, right? People believe in talent. They don't believe in evolution, and they don't believe that art. A lot of people don't understand that art is just a skill, in the same way that you can start out lifting really light weights and you could work your way up to heavier weights. You can start out as a bad artist and become an amazing artist, and a professional artist, right? The only difference between an amateur and a professional is just the professional gets paid. And the way you get paid is by making better work. So how do we make that better work, right? Most people don't understand that you can start out really bad and get really good. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, so people will laugh at you because they don't understand. They don't understand that you're not doing the drawings. The quality of drawings you're doing right now are not the kind of drawings you're going to make for forever if you are learning from the best artists. If you have a mentor who's good and who knows how to help you improve, and if you're doing the right things to improve, if you're practicing the fundamentals, if you're learning anatomy, if you're learning form, if you're learning perspective, if you're learning to render, as long as you're doing the things you need to do to improve, you will make it. And then it's just a question of how long will it take? Well, how many hours a day are you putting in? How focused are you when you're putting those hours in? Those are the questions. You can definitely do it. It's just a question of how badly you want it. Okay? That's the main message of today's video. You've got to seek out the right people, because if you just put in the time, that's not enough. You can put in hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, but if you're doing the wrong things, you won't improve and you won't get to that professional level. You have to be putting in the time, practicing the right things, learning from the right people. And that feedback from people is very important. Number one, because it tells you what you should be working on. Number two, because it raises your standard of what good drawing is. And three, because you need to build your resilience to negative feedback. So that, because part of working for people and for clients is that you will be receiving feedback on your work all the time. And you need to build up a thick skin to not take it personally and be like, oh, you're critiquing your art, you're critiquing me. When you critique the way I draw something, you're critiquing me. And as artists, we're very sensitive, so we need to build up that thick skin to become more resilient if we want to be pros. Because amateurs will fall apart at the slightest criticism, and they won't expose themselves to criticism, so they just want to hear how great their art is. Professionals are okay with receiving negative feedback. Okay, I think that's the main difference, is being able to take critique well is very important, and to be able to discern, okay, this person knows what they're talking about or they don't, and here's something useful they said about my art, here's something that they actually don't know what they're talking about, so I'm not gonna pay attention to that. You kind of have to have the wisdom, and I think you get that wisdom just from exposure to a whole bunch of different artists, professionals, old masters. You'll build up your sense of your discernment for who knows what they're talking about. A good sign is the person who's giving you feedback happy or not? That's a really good sign. So this is actually more for this is something I'm going to talk about this in another way. So when people are critiquing you and doubting you, not critiquing, when people are doubting you and telling you you shouldn't be a professional artist, you're not good enough. It's a lot of times those people are the people who didn't achieve their dreams. Those people are your art teacher who wanted to be an artist but is an art teacher and not a very good artist. Those are people who are in unhappy relationships. Those are people who are living lives that are full of stress and who don't experience a lot of fulfillment and who are just not very happy. And moreover, more than anything else, they're just insecure. And insecure people will try to hurt other people, so they'll try to kill your dream. So they'll try to put you down and say, because people who don't achieve their dreams don't believe that it's possible for you, or they don't want you to achieve your dream because they didn't achieve their dream. They don't want, right? Misery loves company. So whenever you get somebody hating on you and saying, you can't do this, your art is so bad, you can't be a professional, don't listen to that. Look at the people who are successful. And most of the people who are successful and happy, not burned out and bitter, people who are happy and successful will tell you that, yeah, you can do it. Now, it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to work another job. You might have to walk dogs and pet sit for 10 years before you start making a living with your art. And even when you start making some money with your art, you're still going to have to work a second job, and it's not going to be easy. Of course it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to, you're going to want to quit. You're going to have periods where you're just frustrated and you're angry and you don't feel like doing art and you don't even know if you like art because it's just so hard. But if you can get through that, you can definitely be a professional. It's just how badly do you want it? So that's it. It just comes down to how badly you want it, how capable, how resilient you are. And one question would be, the final thing to ask yourself is, can you do anything else and be happy? Could you do anything else and be happy and fulfilled doing it? Because if you can, go do that. But if you can't and won't do anything other than art, baby, go do some art. Go be an artist. Please be an artist. Be a good artist, though. Don't be a crappy artist. Be a good artist. Be an exceptional artist. Train your skills. Be really freaking good. Become a master of your craft. Love what you do. Train every day. Get better and better and better and really get good at it. And don't lose that love, because if you become a professional artist and you don't love what you do, then what are we doing? Why are we even making art for a living? And that's not to say it's going to be great all the time, but let's get that deep underlying sense of fulfillment while we do that. Because if we're not experiencing more pleasure than pain, what's the point? So keep that fire burning, keep that passion alive, that burning fire for art. Just keep looking at great art. Make a folder where you put all the art you aspire to create, all your favorite painters, all your favorite video game art, all your favorite card game art. Put it in a folder on Google Drive and just look at that every morning and picture your art being just as good as that. And you can definitely do it. It's just time and effort and repetition. You got this, y'all. You can be a professional if you want to be a professional. It just takes time and effort. It's about the desire, and you got to want it bad enough. Okay? So that's going to be my video, and you can totally do it. If you're a young person, even if you're older, it's going to be harder, but you can still do it. Yeah. Don't let other people stop you from doing it. I wouldn't say drop $100,000 on art school and get into a bunch of debt, but yeah, go learn online. Find a good mentor. Find something affordable. Get a job that allows you to pay for all that, and yeah, go for it. You got it. Come on, baby.